The 5:17 a.m. train groans away from Aurora Station. Ice ferns bloom on the glass while I clutch the only bag that is truly mine. Daniel's last words. "You walk now, you don't ever walk back," echo louder than the rails. I taste tin on my tongue. One step off at any stop and I keep breathing, or stay trapped in a house that measured love in ledgers. The window fogs. My heartbeat writes my new name in the frost. Riley Morgan. 23 today. Yesterday was candles and dread. The phone lit up like a fire alarm. Daniel's text. MacBook sold. Your sister's new iPhone costs more than your dreams. Feed the family first. A second buzz. Cover her spring tuition. 5/8 by Friday. I typed the only honest word. No. His answer arrived before the letters dried on my screen. Then leave tonight. You are no daughter of mine. No period, just silence thick as attic dust. I tiptoed past Brittany's door. She slept wrapped in twinkle lights her last tantrum earned her. Past Mom in the hallway, her slippers whispering, "Keep the peace, Riley, keep the peace." Past Daniel in the study, lamp on, spreadsheets glowing like altars. Not one tear. I walked out with 2 sweaters, my birth certificate, and the sneakers I paid for by tutoring 7th grade math. The kitchen clock froze at 11:59. A single red candle sagged on yesterday's cake, frosting crusting like old snow. I left the slice I never tasted. The porch light stayed on for someone they still wanted to shape. I turned it off. The rails beneath me now click a question. Stay or start? I watch the suburbs slide away. Houses identical under dawn hush, each chimney holding secrets. My pulse answers. Forward, always forward. Family helps family. Daniel would lecture whenever I expressed frustration, but somehow the helping only flowed in one direction. I was expected to share my clothes, give up my weekends to drive Brittany to mall trips with friends, and later edit her college papers while balancing my own coursework. The pattern continued into adulthood. While Brittany attended an expensive private university with all expenses covered, I cobbled together scholarships, worked 30 hours a week at a coffee shop, and still graduated with student loans. Not that anyone came to my graduation since it conflicted with Brittany's sophomore year spring formal. Last year, I finally caught a break. After 2 years of building my portfolio while working entry-level design jobs, I landed a position at Horizon Graphics, a growing design firm in downtown Denver. The promotion came with better pay, more responsibility, and professional respect I had never experienced before. I invested nearly $2,000 in a professional-grade laptop that could handle the design software I needed for my projects. That laptop represented my independence, my career, my future. My birthday this year fell on a Tuesday. At 23, I was not expecting a huge celebration, but after securing 3 new clients the previous month, I thought maybe, just maybe, my family might acknowledge my success. Maybe this would be the year things changed. I was wrong. So, very wrong. Tuesday, April 12th, dawned bright and clear. I woke up feeling genuinely optimistic. 23 felt significant somehow, like I was finally stepping fully into adulthood. I got ready for work with extra care, putting on my favorite navy blue dress and taking time with my makeup. My phone pinged with birthday messages from college friends and a sweet email from my team at work. Lauren, my closest friend since high school, had sent a funny GIF and promised drinks after work, but nothing from my family. Not unusual, I told myself. They probably would call later. The morning at work was surprisingly festive. My supervisor, Melissa, had brought in cupcakes, and the design team sang an embarrassingly loud rendition of Happy Birthday when I walked into our weekly meeting. Client calls went smoothly, and by lunch I was riding high on birthday goodwill. Then my phone buzzed at 12:32 p.m., a text from Daniel. Finally, I thought opening it with a smile that quickly disappeared. Sold your laptop. Brittany needs new phone. Hers broke yesterday. Got $700 for it. Be grateful we feed you when you visit." I stared at the screen, certain I was misunderstanding. The laptop that was in my bedroom at my parents' house where I still lived while saving for my own place. The laptop with all my client files, design projects, and portfolio work. The laptop I was planning to bring to work tomorrow for a major client presentation. My fingers shook as I typed, "Please tell me this is a joke. All my work is on that laptop. I need it for my job." His response came immediately. "Should have taken it with you. Not my problem. Brittany needed phone for school. Your sister comes first." The office around me faded as panic set in. I stepped into an empty conference room to call him, but he did not pick up. I tried again, then sent another text. "Daniel, I will help buy Brittany a phone, but I need my laptop back. Where did you sell it? I will pay to get it back." 3 excruciating minutes passed before his reply. "Too late, already sold. Also, you need to transfer $5,800 for Brittany tuition by Friday. She has registration and her account is on hold." The room seemed to tilt. I gripped the conference table for support. $5,800. My entire savings was just over $6,000 painstakingly accumulated for a security deposit and first month's rent on an apartment of my own. "No chance," I texted back. "That is my money for an apartment. Brittany gets full support from you and Mom. I have been paying my own way for years." The response was immediate and cold. "This is not a request." 8-year-old Riley feels Bay Area fog slice her cheeks. She trudges behind Daniel toward the redwood he swore she'd climb. Smoke-sweet needles, sap glue on skinny fingers. Bark scrapes her knee. First chosen pain. The scar still warms when Daniel, 20 years later, demands rent. Warmth turns to iron. Cut to lunchtime. Office smells like vanilla and rain on hot pavement. Riley grins at birthday cupcakes. Phone buzzes. Text from Daniel. Finally, she thinks. Then the floor drops. "Sold your laptop. Brittany needs a phone. Got $700. Be grateful we feed you." Riley stares. Her pulse bangs in her ears. Client files, portfolio, tomorrow's pitch, gone. She dials, straight to voicemail. Texts, "Please, Daniel. Where? I'll buy it back. 3 minutes. Too late already. Also, transfer $5,800 by Friday or move out." $5,800. $6,000 in savings. Her ticket out. Cut off. The conference room tilts. Brittany calls. "Daniel said you're paying tuition. Thank you for saving my life." Riley, "I can't." Brittany, "You're selfish." Mom joins. "Don't upset your sister. Family comes first. Be home by 6. Riley sits alone. Cupcake icing melts to hot wax on her tongue. She tastes fog again, smoke and resin. One knee throbs with memory. No one asked if the 8-year-old ever wanted to climb. No one asks now. She opens her banking app. Finger hovers, swipes away. She opens LinkedIn. Apartment listings. Tremor turns to decision. Iron resolve. 6 o'clock will come. She won't. The overhead light flicks off by itself. Just once. Rain taps like knuckles against the kitchen window. Riley tastes iron where her tongue found a cracked molar nobody fixed. Daniel carves roast beef with slow, deliberate strokes. Serrated edge glints every time it kisses porcelain. Mom reaches for more potatoes. Gravy lands in perfect circles. Silence rings louder than sirens. "Transfer the money by noon Friday," Daniel says. Fork stops midair. Steam coils between them like ghost ropes. Birthday candles were never lit. No card, no gift. Riley's pulse jackhammers against her ribs. "No," she whispers. The single word tastes like fog again. Smoke and sap sting her throat. 8 years old, redwood bark, promise to climb. 28 now, scar still warm. She touches the thin line through denim. Daniel's fork clatters. Chair scrapes stone. "You live under my roof," he growls. "Show gratitude or leave." Riley stands. Legs shake, but voice steadies. "Consider it done." She walks past Brittany's smirk, past Mom's silent plea. Her suitcase waits behind the attic door, still covered in college stickers. She zips it one-handed. Clunk. Midnight. Riley lights a single tea light on the windowsill. Wax melts, smells of vanilla and ozone. She scrolls apartment listings. Thumb hovers, then taps. A $200 deposit, a $400 rent, first and last month up front. Numbers flick through her mind like subway adverts. 48 hours. She opens her savings app. $5,837. She exhales a shaky laugh, enough to breathe, not enough to beg. She drafts a resignation email to the agency. Subject line: 2 weeks' notice, effective immediately. She hovers, deletes. Instead, she types, "I accept the project manager role in Boulder. Salary starts Monday." Sends. Inbox pings, "Welcome aboard, signing bonus hits in 5 days." She stares at the ceiling crack shaped like a lightning bolt. Was it always there? 4:17 a.m. She hears the house settle, pipes groan, floors sigh. Her mother coughs once, soft. Footsteps pause outside her door. Riley holds breath. Doorknob flinches, retreats. She packs in silence. Laptop cable, one ceramic mug with a chip where Brittany slammed it, winter coat with torn pocket. She keeps the redwood twig she pressed in college, now brittle. She tucks it beside her passport. Outside, dawn stains the sky bruise pink. She drags her suitcase over wet gravel. The trunk scrapes like Daniel's chair again. The lock clicks once, final. She looks back. Kitchen light flicks on upstairs. Mom, silhouette, hand on curtain. Riley raises her own hand. A single wave. Curtain falls. The car starts on the second turn of the key. Morning traffic hums. Denver skyline glimmers, distant. Possible. She rolls the window down. First gulp of city air tastes like hope and exhaust. At the red light, she fingers the redwood twig. One flake of bark drops into her palm. She pockets it. Light turns green. She drives forward, heart racing, breath steady for the first time in years. No one knows where she's going. Not yet. Her tires hiss across wet pavement. The mirror shows the house shrinking into a postcard memory. Riley doesn't look back again. Midnight thuds. Heart. Pipes. Rain fizzing on the porch tin. I shut the door, lean back. Cold knob kissed my spine. Silence tasted like copper. I flip on the one bulb. Stark light paints me thin. Closet shrieked open. Wire hangers rattle like bones. Dust plumes rise, tickle my nose. Past and present tangle in one room. Can you split yourself in half and still breathe? Suitcase yawns. I kneel. Pants brush carpet like dry leaves. 3 piles. Take, leave, burn. College sweatshirt, yes. Mom's gift cardigan, no. Every stitch bought with family strings snipped loose. The stack stays small. A life should never weigh this little. A shoebox waits on the top shelf. When I lift it, the tape sighs. Faded ribbon inside smells like crayons and gym socks. I pull a report card. Straight A's, red ink. Riley shows promise. Promise for what? To be invisible? I shove in my passport, USB drive, the chipped redwood twig. One flake of bark flutters to my palm. Light as regret. I pocket it. The twig is my only map to soil that has no voice. I count money again. $6,247. Enough to run. Not enough to stop running. Where does courage end and recklessness begin? Outside, a siren stretches, a long moan from somewhere far. Laptop glows like a campfire. I open a blank page. Lease, roommate, job, first meal I cook alone. The cursor blinks. Every heartbeat hammers one sentence. You are not your father's silence. I hear the floor groan near the stairs. Breath catches. Mom? Or memory? Footsteps stall. The doorknob wiggles once. Heart slams against teeth. I freeze. Statue of salt. Click retreats. Tissue-thin seconds stretch into years. I exhale. Sweat stings my eyes. I zip the suitcase. Wheels scrape floor like chalk scraping a slate. I pull it down the hallway. No creaks tonight. Wood knows. I leave the light on. Small mercy. Backseat steams from my breath. Car smells like coffee cold 3 days old. Key turns, kick, engine roars awake. Streetlights blur into liquid neon. I roll the window. First lungful of city night. Ozone, exhaust, freedom's strange perfume. Red light. Phone buzz. Lauren. I left the door unlocked. There's pizza in fridge. Come home. Home. The word lands like a warm palm. Tears prick. Headlights behind me blink. Someone urging go. Green. Foot lifts. Tires hiss over wet pavement like silk tearing. Rear view shrinks the house to a yellow postcard. Mom stands at the window, hand on glass. One thin palm. I lift my own. We freeze midair, ghost treaty across glass. I drive. Denver glows ahead, low skyline, promise outlined in twinkles. My heart races. Breath steadies. Redwood dust on my thumb feels alive. Somewhere past the on-ramp a bridge waits. On the other side, roommates, ramen, rent, and the word no. I finally learn to say out loud. I merge into traffic. City swallows me gently. The horizon blinks pink. Not sunrise yet, just dawn's rehearsal. I touch the redwood flake tucked in my pocket. Somewhere past Boulder a desk waits shaped like my own spine. Unbent. I drive. No turn signals needed. Forward is the only exit sign that's always glowing. Rain starts. Light drizzle. Not pity, just weather. Wipers swipe, past, future, past, future. Each sweep, a goodbye gift. The radio flickers to life on its own. Old song. I turn it up. Voice cracks on the chorus. It's your life. Write it. Next streetlight, a guy in a gray hoodie jaywalks. Our eyes meet, his nod small, almost human. We pass. Two strangers sharing the same dawn permission slip. I check the rear view again. Nothing. No tailing headlights. No guilt's red eyes. I smile. Thin. Real. Gas smells like new beginnings. Horizon widens. Somewhere a fresh key waits on a rental counter next to a name tag. Riley Morgan, project manager, first day. Hands steady on the wheel. Redwood piece warms between fingers. Traffic thins. Highway opens like a promise never broken. The driveway gravel snaps under the tires like breaking knuckles. My phone buzzes again. Daniel's name glows. A warning I don't answer. Lauren's spare key is already in my hand, cold teeth cutting skin. One last look at the house. Black windows stare back. Is Mom awake upstairs listening for the garage to close? I don't wait to know. I hit the gas. The car doesn't roar. It sighs, finally able to exhale. Streetlights wash neon across the windshield. The city smells like cheap coffee and wet leaves. Freedom with a bitter edge. My heartbeat is the only music. No radio, just the thud, thud of what now. Closet door swings. Box sits open, cedar scent clinging to cotton. Grandma's tiny velvet case glints in my palm. Compass without a needle. The bracelet Daniel wrapped in tissue paper sits in its velvet, twins of favoritism. I leave it like a rejected medal. 2:17 a.m. Tears are past. The hallway is a tunnel of held breath. My duffel bumps the banister. No one wakes to scold. Note on the pillow. Short, almost polite. 3 sentences that end 23 years. I sign it Riley Morgan. Not Riley Morgan. Riley Morgan slept in twin sheets. Riley walks. Door snicks shut. Final as a heartbeat skipped. April night scrapes skin. Key turns. Rrr. Then quiet. Frost on the windshield beads under wipers. I watch my breath cloud. Proof I'm still warm. No taillights in the mirror. I do not wave. The sunrise starts its crawl over the horizon, peach to gold, while I count street corners. 23 left turns between obedience and horizon. Savings calculator ticks in my head. Rent, phone, ramen, maybe coffee. 2 months and loose change. The fear tastes metallic, copper on the tongue. Still, something lighter stirs, like helium pulling ribs apart. For once, no one's voice inside my head but my own. No comparisons to cousins. No bank statement forwarded for approval. I am raw, broke, awake. Mine. Lauren's porch light is already on. She stands barefoot on the mat, flannel shirt swallowing her, eyes lined with yesterday's eyeliner. No questions yet. She just opens arms. Inside, mismatched mugs, faint cat litter scent, the smell of a home built by choice. I set the box on the counter. The redwood piece rolls out, glinting like a tiny promise. We stare at it together. First sunrise here, first breakfast without guilt. Somewhere outside, sirens fade, city waking in its normal chaos. I sip tea that burns my tongue and grin, because pain belongs to me now. Lauren leans on the fridge. Her words come slow, soft. Room's made. Wi-Fi passwords on the fridge. We start over tomorrow. I nod. Silence isn't empty. It's open space waiting to be filled with stories I choose. I take a breath sharp as new coffee. Denver, I'm ready. You have not slept. Lauren drags me across the threshold, rain scent dripping from her hair. Coffee growls, steam coils like worry. I sit. Boom. Story dumps. Laptop vanished, savings sieved. My voice cracks. She listens like oxygen through a smile. Sunlight spills. Dust motes swirl. Lauren folds arms. Stay as long as you need. First breath without a sob burns sweet. Fine print. Her closet shrinks. Patience stretches. Morning shower steams the mirror clear. I call Melissa, boss. Laptop gone. Files lost. Can I access the office tower? Pause. Use our machine. We work early. Alarm at 5. Subway clatter. Denver day barely lit. Coffee 2 sugars sharp. I rebuild spreadsheets. Copy. Paste. Pray. Mouse clicks echo like rain on tin. Clock swallows hours. Lunch cart ring-dings at noon. Files complete. Henderson saved. Office silent except the hum of new hope. The client would never know the difference, but I knew how close I had come to professional disaster. My phone had been buzzing all morning. I ignored it until I had a moment alone. 17 missed calls from Daniel, 5 from Mom, 3 from Brittany, and dozens of text messages. Daniel, 7:55 a.m. Where are you? Car's gone. Daniel, 7:15 a.m. Answer your phone. Daniel, 7:32 a.m. This is childish behavior. Come home immediately. Mom, 7:45 a.m. Your father is very upset. Please call us. Brittany, 8001 a.m. OMG, you actually left. Daniel's freaking out. Daniel, 8:30 a.m. You have responsibilities to this family. This is unacceptable. Mom, 9:15 a.m. Please just call to let us know you are safe. The messages continued escalating in urgency and anger. My father had clearly not expected me to actually leave. He had thrown down an ultimatum expecting me to cave as I always had before. I sent one text to my mother. I'm safe. I'm at work. I need some time. Her response was immediate. Come home after work. We can talk this out. I did not reply. Instead, I threw myself into the Henderson presentation, which went surprisingly well despite everything. Melissa even complimented my quick thinking in reconstructing the missing elements. After work, I returned to Lauren apartment to find more messages. My father had now involved my aunts and uncles who were texting with concerns about my mental state and rash decisions. Your family is really pulling out all the stops, Lauren said as she read over my shoulder. Classic flying monkeys. Flying monkeys, you know from Wizard of Oz, the Wicked Witch sends them to do her bidding. Your Daniel is sending relatives to pressure you because his direct approach is not working. That night, Brittany called again. Against my better judgment, I answered. How could you do this to me? She demanded without preamble. Registration is tomorrow, and Daniel says he cannot pay my tuition because you took all your money. I did not take my money, Brittany. It was always my money for my apartment. But I need it more. I could get kicked out of school. Why is your tuition suddenly my responsibility? Daniel has paid it for 3 years. His business had some cash flow issues this quarter, she said, her voice dropping. But he did not want me to worry about it. He said you would help. A piece clicked into place. This was not just about the usual favoritism. Daniel was having financial problems. He had not disclosed, and his solution was to drain my savings rather than tell Brittany she might need to get a part-time job or take a student loan like most college students. I am sorry about Daniel business, but that does not make your tuition my problem, I said firmly. I suggest you talk to the financial aid office about emergency loans or a payment plan. You are so selfish, she cried. Family is supposed to help family. Funny how that only applies when you need something from me. Did you even try to stop Daniel from selling my laptop? Silence then. It is just a laptop. You can buy another one. With what money, Brittany? The money you want for tuition. She hung up on me. Minutes later, my mother called. Brittany is crying. Riley Morgan, I hope you are happy. The familiar guilt rose, but this time I pushed it back down. Mom, did you know Daniel is having business problems? A telling pause. Your father handles the finances, but we will be fine as long as this family sticks together. You mean as long as I hand over my savings to fix everyone else's problems? Do not be dramatic. This is temporary. My answer is still no. The next day, Lauren helped me create a budget and scan apartment listings. We found a promising lead, a room in a shared house with 3 other young professionals for $700 monthly, including utilities. It was in a decent neighborhood and only a 15-minute drive from my office. It is not fancy, but it would give you breathing room to save for a better place, Lauren pointed out. I arranged to see it that evening. The sky bruises purple over Denver the night Riley signs the lease. Jasmine hands her the key, chipped paint flaking like old promises. Riley's fingers tremble. This is the first key she's owned that doesn't fit a house where she's expected to be quiet, grateful, smaller. Her mattress, no frame, no box spring, lies on the cracked hardwood. Rain scent drifts through the cracked window, carrying the city's distant jazz of sirens and leaf rustle. She breathes it in until the dark feels less empty and more like possibility. Phone buzzes. Daniel Whitman flashes. Call me back, now. She thumbs decline, chest tight, pulse drumming. A flashcard of memories. 10-year-old Riley feeding coins into a carnival fortune teller. The plastic mystic promising, you will always belong to yourself. She clings to that like a lifeline. She is broke, but not broken. She is alone, but not abandoned, because she chose the leaving. Sunday dusk. U-Haul unloaded. Closet rod sags under 3 pairs of jeans, 2 wrinkled blouses, nothing else. The echo of her own footsteps sounds like freedom in sneakers. Dinner, ramen with tap water and a grateful nod to her future self who will laugh about this night. She pictures that woman, hair longer, smile steadier. The image warms the room more than the neon bulb above. 10 p.m. The house sighs like it's settling into her story. Then, soft knock. Not the doorbell wired with impatience like her father's calls. This knock is light, patient, curious. The handle turns. Jasmine? Or someone who followed her here? Riley's lungs pause. She steps toward the door, barefoot, heart loud in the silence. Outside, nothing but hallway carpet and low yellow light. A small envelope waits, taped to the frame. No name. Just Riley's face reflected in the brass keyhole as she lifts it. Inside the envelope, a single silver dollar and a note scrawled in looping pen. Belong to yourself. Keep the change. Riley presses the coin to her pulse until it warms. The jazz inside her chest finds a steadier rhythm. She thinks of Monday, of spreadsheets and weekend bookstore shifts, of rebuilding savings one rolled quarter at a time. She thinks of her mother, probably pacing the kitchen tiles back home, rehearsing fresh guilt. Riley pockets the coin, exhales. She doesn't owe anyone explanations tonight. Maybe never again. She switches off the light. The neon glow from the street sneaks in, painting electric stripes across her mattress. She lies down, pulls an old hoodie over her shoulders, and listens. House breathing, city humming, heart steady. Somewhere between the lull of night and first light, Riley whispers to the empty room, "This is mine." The coin clinks softly against her nightstand glass like applause. Just make sure the Donaldson mock-ups are ready for Tuesday. Her understanding brought unexpected tears to my eyes. Thank you. They will be ready, I promise. That weekend, Lauren helped me move my meager possessions into the shared house. My new room was small but clean with a twin-bed desk and small closet. My roommates respectfully gave me space to settle in, though. Jasmine dropped off a small houseplant as a welcome gift. "Everyone needs something living in their space," she said with a smile. "This one is nearly impossible to kill. Just water it once a week." Looking around my new room that night, surrounded by boxes containing everything I owned in the world, I felt a complex mix of emotions. Fear of the unknown, pride in taking this step, grief for the family support I had always craved but never truly received, and, underneath it all, a small but growing sense of possibility. The next 2 weeks brought new challenges. My family moved from angry messages to more creative forms of pressure. My father showed up at Horizon Graphics on Tuesday afternoon, demanding to speak with me. Security ultimately had to escort him out, leaving me mortified in front of colleagues I respected. "Your father seems intense," Melissa said carefully afterward. "If you need to adjust your work schedule for personal reasons, let me know." I thanked her, but insisted I could handle it. In truth, I was terrified the situation would affect my professional reputation. I needed this job more than ever. The financial strain was constant and grinding. After paying my regular bills and setting aside money for gas and groceries, I had little left. The bookstore job helped, but working 7 days a week left me perpetually exhausted. I started bringing my lunch to work instead of buying it, cut out all non-essential spending, and learned to stretch groceries in ways I never had before. When my car started making an ominous knocking sound, I nearly broke down in the parking lot. A mechanic quoted $800 for repairs I couldn't possibly afford. I was looking at bus schedules and calculating longer commute times when my phone rang with an unfamiliar number. "Riley Morgan, this is Jackie Winters. We met at the design conference last month." I vaguely remembered a confident woman in her 50s who had complimented my portfolio display. "I recently started a new creative agency and I remembered your eye for detail. Would you be interested in some freelance work? I need help with a client pitch and it pays $500 for the project. It felt like a lifeline thrown when I was drowning." "Absolutely. When do you need it by?" "Monday, if possible. I can email you the details if you will send me your address." I hesitated, then admitted I actually lost my laptop recently. I would need to use the computers at work after hours. That is a problem for a designer. She said, "Tell you what, I have an older MacBook that still runs the design software. You can borrow it for this project, and we will see where things go from there." 2 days later, I met Jackie at a coffee shop. She handed over not only the promised laptop, but also an external hard drive with all the necessary files and software. "Take good care of it, but consider it yours to use until you can replace your own." She said, "I know what it is like to be starting out with limited resources." For the first time in weeks, I felt a glimmer of hope. The freelance project went well, leading to another, then another. Jackie became both a client and an informal mentor, offering practical advice and occasional dinner invitations where she shared stories of her own career struggles. I left an abusive marriage at 28 with nothing but my portfolio and a maxed-out credit card, she told me over pasta one evening. Everyone told me I was throwing away security. 20 years later, I own my agency and my home, and I answer to no one but myself and my clients. Her story gave me courage during the increasingly difficult family situations. My phone buzzed again. A text from someone I hadn't spoken to since prom. "Your sister says you're ruining her life." How could you?" The words glowed like hot coals. Rain tapped the window like fingers typing secrets. I hugged my borrowed laptop to my chest, its warm aluminum against my thudding heart, wondering if even the rain believed the rumor. The next ping was my mother, voice shaking like winter branches. "Your father, honey. Minor heart episode. He needs less stress. He needs you." The smell of hospital disinfectant floated between us across the miles. She sighed. "Family dinner. Sunday." I stared at the cracks on the ceiling, each plaster vein looking like guilt spelled out loud. Sunday. Parents' house. The wooden door that once meant safety now smelled of old varnish and unspoken judgment. Daniel looked thinner under the blue glow of the TV. Brittany tapped her new iPhone, screen brighter than her grin. Mom's lasagna bubbled. The scent reminded me of birthdays when allowance came without strings. "Look who decides family counts again," Daniel laughed, soft as velvet over steel. Brittany's thumbs paused. Silence stretched like cold honey. I chewed, tasted metal, then swallowed pride. "I'm here because I love all of you. But I can't come back." Outside, wind rattled the sycamores. Somewhere inside, something else cracked. Instead, Daniel talked extensively about his business challenges and Brittany's sorority activities. When I mentioned a new project at work, the subject was quickly changed. After dinner, Daniel asked me to join him in his study, the traditional location for serious discussions in our household. "I think you have made your point," he said, sitting behind his desk while I took the smaller chair across from him. "This little independence experiment has gone on long enough." "It is not an experiment, Daniel. I have an apartment and roommates. I have responsibilities, and you do not think you have responsibilities here. Your sister is struggling without your help. Your mother is taking on extra stress because you are not here. My health is suffering." Each word was a carefully placed arrow aimed at my weakest points. For a moment, I wavered. The familiar guilt and desire for approval rose within me. "I can help in other ways," I offered. "I can come for dinner more often or help Brittany with her papers." He waved this away. "Half measures. This family needs you here, Riley Morgan. Your place is here. My place is where I choose it to be." I said the words coming out stronger than I expected. "I am an adult, Daniel. I get to decide where I live and how I spend my money." His expression hardened. "As long as you maintain this attitude, you can consider yourself cut off from family resources. No inheritance, no help with your career, nothing. I have been cut off from family resources since I was 18, I replied, standing up. That is nothing new. I left soon after ignoring my mother tears and Brittany pointed silence. Driving back to my shared house, I felt both drained and oddly strengthened. I had faced the full force of my father manipulation and remained standing. The next week brought a surprise. An email from the University Financial Aid Office responding to an inquiry I had never made. "Dear Miss Anderson, regarding your sister Brittany financial status, our records show her tuition has been paid in full for the current semester through your father's standard payment plan. She is not at risk of disenrollment, as previously stated." I stared at the screen in disbelief. The tuition crisis that had started this whole chain of events had been a fabrication. My father had never been in danger of being unable to pay. It had all been a test of my compliance or perhaps an opportunity to drain my savings to prevent my independence. The revelation should have made me angry, but instead I felt a strange sense of clarity. The patterns that had defined my family dynamic were now unmistakably clear. I could see the manipulation for what it was, and in seeing it, I found power to resist it. That night, I called Jackie and accepted her offer of more consistent, freelance work. "I want to build something of my own," I told her, "something that cannot be taken away." "That is exactly the right attitude," she said approvingly. "Independence is built one brick at a time. I was laying those bricks slowly but surely. Each day I remained on my own was a victory. Each bill I paid myself a declaration of independence. Thanksgiving arrived with dreaded inevitability. I had successfully avoided major family gatherings for months. But the holiday was different. Refusing to attend the traditional celebration at my grandmother's house would create a family scandal that would ripple through every branch of the extended family. After much deliberation, I decided to go for the afternoon, only driving myself so I could leave when needed. I brought a homemade pie, determined to be polite but distant. The house was warm and noisy when I arrived, filled with aunts, uncles, and cousins. My grandmother, now 80 and increasingly frail, greeted me with genuine delight. "There is my girl," she said, holding my face in her soft hands. "I have missed you at Sunday dinners." I helped in the kitchen, catching up with Aunt Susan and Uncle Paul, carefully steering conversations away from my current living situation. For a while, it almost felt normal, like I was still part of this family tapestry without the complications. Then my father cornered me in the hallway. "Your mother is expecting you to announce your return home today," he said without preamble. It would be the perfect Thanksgiving gift for the family. I stared at him, caught off guard by the directness of the ambush. "I am not moving back, Daniel." His face darkened. "You have made your point. This rebellion has gone on long enough. It is not a rebellion. It is my life, a life you are barely managing." He scoffed. "Your mother tells me you are working at a bookstore on weekends. Is that really the future you want? Struggling to make rent in some shared housing situation?" Before I could respond, my grandmother appeared in the hallway. "Daniel Whitman." "I need you to carve the turkey," she said, her tone light but her eyes sharp. "Riley Morgan, would you help me with something in my room first?" Grateful for the rescue, I followed her to the small bedroom she kept at my aunt's house. She closed the door behind us and sat on the edge of her bed, patting the space beside her. "Now, tell me what is really going on," she said. "I have been hearing all sorts of stories, but I want to hear it from you." The simple act of being asked for my side opened a floodgate. I told her everything from the birthday text about my laptop to the false tuition crisis to the current standoff. She listened without interruption, her lined face serious. When I finished, she took my hand in hers. "Your grandfather, God rest him, was just like your father. Everything had to be his way. It took me 30 years to stand up to him, and by then so much life had passed me by." She reached into her bedside drawer and pulled out an envelope. "I was saving this for Christmas, but I think you need it now." Inside was a check for $2,000. "Grandma, I cannot take this," I protested. "You absolutely can and will," she said firmly. "This is not charity. This is me investing in your independence. Use it for a proper laptop, something no one can take from you." Tears filled my eyes. "Why are you the only one who understands?" "Because I lived my own version of this story," she said simply, "and I want a different ending for you." Dinner was tense but manageable with my grandmother's subtle support. When Brittany complained loudly about her student loan applications, Grandma smoothly changed the subject. When Daniel began a pointed story about ungrateful children, she shut it down with a sharp look. The real confrontation came during dessert. My father stood glass-raised and called for attention. "Before we give thanks, I think we need to clear the air about family matters." He began looking directly at me. "Riley Morgan has been going through a phase of rebellion, causing her mother and I significant worry. Today, I'm hoping she has an announcement to make that will bring peace back to our family." All eyes turned to me. I felt my face flush with embarrassment and anger. "I do not have any announcement," I said clearly, "except that I am grateful to be here today with all of you." "Riley Morgan," he said, his voice taking on the warning tone I knew so well. "This has gone on long enough. It is time to come home and resume your family responsibilities." "I have a home," I replied, standing as well, "and my only responsibility is to build a life that brings me peace and fulfillment." "After everything we have done for you," he began, but I cut him off. "What exactly have you done for me lately, Daniel? Sold my laptop without permission, tried to take my savings, shown up at my workplace and embarrassed me. A shocked silence fell over the table. No one ever interrupted my father. I am not in rebellion, I continued, my voice steadier than I felt. I am an adult who made a choice to live independently. That should be celebrated, not punished. Silver rain hushes against the windshield as Riley Morgan sits in her idling Civic, fingers white on the steering wheel. Her pulse is a drum in her throat. She smells pine from the scented candle Aunt Susan pressed into her hand, the last goodbye of the fractured Thanksgiving. One text glows on her phone. They moved to Plan B, care. Riley locks the screen, exhales. Her new roommate, Elena, waits 2 blocks over with cheap chai and a second-hand futon. Riley steps into the rain. Cold drops streak down her hoodie like questions she can't ask out loud. Could family really weaponize love like this? Her boots splash puddles reflecting the holiday lights strung between Denver condos. Each globe twists her reflection into shards of who she used to be. Inside the apartment, the smell of cardamom and warm milk calms her faster than words. Elena holds out the cup wordlessly. Riley takes it, wrapping stiff fingers around ceramic warmth. Elena breaks the quiet. The agency wants to meet you tomorrow. A boutique tax consulting agency, Riley repeats, tasting the weight of the words. She has never written a line of code for their data mining clients, but Jackie trusts her with spreadsheets and a whispered promise. $35 an hour. 35. Enough to cover rent. Enough to breathe. The next morning, sunlight pries open the blinds. Riley tugs on the thrifted blazer she bought after her Daniel confiscated her last one for appearing too ambitious. She walks 3 miles in cracked sneakers she mended with duct tape and pride. The sky smells of wet leaves and new snow. She imagines every footstep is punctuation in a letter she is finally allowed to author. Jackie meets her at the glass doors of a loft overlooking the Rockies. No cubicles, only standing desks, plants, and one wall of windows that turn the mountains into art. Riley's shoulders drop for the first time in weeks. "Flex hours okay?" Jackie asks. "More than okay," Riley says, and the words taste like spring water straight from the source. Mid-morning, Riley's phone thrums again. The caller ID shows Grandma Whitman. Riley's heartbeat stumbles. She steps into the fire stairs, breathing chalky concrete air. "Riley," Grandma whispers, "they're coming." Her voice trembles. "They want your name off the family accounts tonight. They'll pretend it's your choice. Do not sign anything till you hear my plan." Riley presses a hand to the cold wall. "The plan? There's a plan?" Grandma continues. "Pack light. I'll text you an address in 10 minutes. Bring your laptop, the one nobody could take from you." Click. Silence. Riley returns to the loft trembling, but her feet feel rooted. She finishes the spreadsheet, squares her shoulders, and smiles at Jackie. "I can start Monday." Noon slides to dusk. The address pings. A Victorian house on Colfax, purple door, porch light glowing like a lighthouse. Riley carries only her backpack, laptop, 3 blouses, the candle Aunt Susan gave her. The rain returns, soft this time, kissing her cheeks like apology notes from the universe. Grandma opens the door with eyes that know rebellion and redemption in equal measure. She hands Riley a slim manila envelope. Your life in 15 pages. Inside, deed to a 1999 Subaru with no lien, a list of 3 part-time clients Jackie pre-approved, and a cashier's check marked Starting Seed. Love. Always. Riley's throat tightens. Steam from the house's kitchen curls around her like vanilla and safety. Through the window, she sees Aunt Susan stirring soup. The scent is childhood and absolution. Riley steps inside. Forks clink harshly, hearts thunder. Around the reclaimed wood table sit Grandma, Aunt Susan, Elena, Jackie, each face lit by candles that cannot burn anyone's dreams tonight. Riley's voice hovers on the edge of command. pay back every cent in love tonight. But Grandma's phone buzzes. A locked screen alert pulses red. Riley reads the pop-up aloud. Final eviction notice for Daniel Whitman, 48 hours, balance due, 17,482s. Every face goes pallid, except hers. She locks eyes across the ruins of dinner. Daniel, Riley whispers. The real debt caller just arrived. Whose name is on this final notice? You have real talent, she said, and more importantly, real determination. I want that energy in my company. With my grandmother gift and my first paycheck from Jackie Agency, I purchased a new laptop, even better than the one my father had sold. Setting it up in my small room, I felt a sense of ownership that went beyond the physical object. My sister texted a few days after Thanksgiving, her tone noticeably different. I did not know Daniel lied about the tuition, she wrote. I thought it was real. I believe you, I responded after careful consideration. But you still participated in pressuring me to give up my savings. I know. I am sorry. 2 words I could not remember hearing from her before. I have been thinking about things about how differently we have been treated. It was a small acknowledgement, but significant. We arranged to meet for coffee the following weekend at Neutral Territory for a conversation long overdue. Meanwhile, my father switched tactics. Having failed at direct confrontation, he began focusing on his own problems, sending messages about business difficulties and health concerns, clearly hoping to activate my caretaking instincts. Your father really needs your support right now, my mother texted daily. Just a phone call would mean so much. I maintained firm boundaries while still showing basic compassion. I sent a get-well card to my father. I called my mother once a week for short, carefully managed conversations. I met my sister for coffee and listened to her halting attempts to understand our family dynamic from a new perspective. It was progress, however small, but the most significant progress was happening within me. I was building a life on my own terms. My shared housing situation, which my father had mocked, had become a supportive community. My roommates and I cooked together on Sundays, shared streaming service passwords, and looked out for each other in practical ways. My work at both jobs was thriving. Melissa had noted my improved confidence and assigned me to lead a small team on a new project. Jackie was introducing me to her industry contacts, building my professional network beyond what I could have accessed through my father connections. 6 months after that fateful birthday text, I received another message from my father. This one was different. Your mother and I would like to have dinner with you next week. There are matters to discuss. I agreed, but suggested a restaurant rather than their house. On neutral ground, we met the 3 of us sitting somewhat stiffly around a table. Your grandmother tells me you are doing well. My father began, clearly uncomfortable. I am, I said simply. Your room is still available, my mother added quickly. Anytime you want to come home. Thank you, but I have renewed my lease for another 6 months. My father cleared his throat. I may have been hasty in how I handled things last spring. From him, this was as close to an apology as I was likely to get. I nodded in acknowledgement. We miss you, my mother said, reaching for my hand across the table. The house is not the same without you. I miss aspects of home, too, I admitted, but I needed to establish my own life. The conversation was awkward but civil. No dramatic reconciliation, no complete resolution of our differences. But it was a beginning, a recognition that our relationship would need to be rebuilt on new terms with boundaries and mutual respect that had not existed before. As we parted, my father hesitated, then said gruffly, I looked up that design agency you are working for. Jackie Winters has a good reputation in the industry. Coming from him, it was high praise. I simply nodded and thanked him for dinner. Walking to my car afterward, I realized I no longer felt the desperate need for his approval that had driven so many of my choices. I appreciated the small olive branch, but my sense of self-worth no longer depended on his validation. It was the most valuable lesson of my independence. I was enough just as I was without anyone else's acknowledgement or permission. As summer faded into fall, I found myself approaching the 1-year mark of my independence with a sense of accomplishment I had never experienced before. My tiny bedroom in the shared house had become genuinely mine, decorated with second-hand finds and small art pieces I had begun creating again after years of setting aside that passion. My financial situation had stabilized with my dual income from Horizon Graphics and Jackie Agency. I had rebuilt my savings and even started a small retirement account. The borrowed laptop had been returned, replaced by my own equipment that no one could take from me. More significant were the internal changes. The constant anxiety that had been my companion for years had diminished. I made decisions based on my own needs and values rather than anticipating others' reactions. I spoke in meetings without downplaying my ideas. I set boundaries in all relationships, not just with my family. My mother had begun visiting me once a month, tentatively at first, then with growing comfort. She would bring small housewarming gifts, unnecessary but well-intentioned, and we would have lunch or visit a museum together. During one such visit, sitting in a cafe near my apartment, she surprised me with an admission. "I have started seeing a therapist," she said, stirring her tea nervously. "After everything that happened, I realized I needed to understand my own patterns better." "That is wonderful, Mom," I said, genuinely pleased. "How is it going?" "Hard," she admitted. "We are talking about codependency and enabling behaviors, things I never saw in myself before." She looked up at me. "I owe you an apology, Riley Morgan. I should have protected you more." The words I had longed to hear for years brought unexpected tears. "Thank you for saying that. Your father and I are also doing some counseling together," she added. "Just a few sessions so far." He resisted at first, but after his business partner suggested it might help with their working relationship, he finally agreed. The news was shocking, but welcome. My father seeking help of any kind represented a seismic shift in family dynamics. Brittany, too, was changing in small but noticeable ways. After her uncomfortable realization at Thanksgiving that she had been manipulated, she had begun questioning other family patterns. She had taken a part-time job at the campus library, her first employment ever, and had started managing her own expenses with a budgeting app. Daniel wanted to buy me a new winter coat, she told me during one of our now regular coffee meetings. But I told him I would rather save up and buy it myself. You should have seen his face. We laughed together, the sound marking a new kind of sisterhood, emerging from the ashes of our old competitive dynamic. The reconciliation with my father was slower and more complicated. Our interactions remained somewhat formal with careful conversation on neutral topics, but there was progress. He had stopped trying to control my choices or criticize my independence. When I mentioned considering a promotion that would take me to the New York office of Horizon Graphics, he surprised me by asking thoughtful questions about the opportunity rather than dismissing it. "It sounds like an excellent career move," he said during a family dinner, his tone genuine. "Though your mother would miss your monthly visits. It was not quite approval, but it was respect, and I found that was enough. My grandmother had become my most stalwart supporter and confidant." At 81, she had more energy and insight than many people decades younger. She delighted in hearing about my growing career and independent life. "You know what makes me happiest," she said during one visit. "Seeing you make choices because they bring you joy, not because they please others. That is true freedom." Flashback, age 7, Denver night, January breath. Riley presses her palm to a frosted window. Daniel drones about wasted money on Mom's piano lessons. Ice curls beneath her finger, engine heat smells of old coffee and pine freshener. Seatbelt buckle brands her arm. One sentence forms. Money is not love. Money is the leash. The memory burns hotter than the buckle. Now. Riley stands in Lauren's warm kitchen. Candle smoke spirals. 1 year later, one life later. Cupcakes sit untouched because the room is already sweet with freedom's scent. Lemon soap, rain on brick, leaf rustle outside an open window. Mom peeks inside. A hesitant smile, a gift card balanced on fingertips. Riley meets her eyes. No apology tonight, only presence. A nod is enough. Brittany steps through the door, solo. She untwists a knit scarf. "Daniel wanted to come," she says. "I told him that was your call." Silence stretches, then laughter bubbles. Sisters tasting new trust like fresh water. The toast. Jackie lifts a jam jar because wine glasses broke last week. "To Riley Morgan," she says, "who proved independence is not a place on a map, but a vow to your own heart." Every guest raises something. Mugs, soda cans, a paint-streaked thermos. The clink is gentle, no demands, just witness. Riley catches her reflection in a dark pane. 7-year-old Frost Ghost merges with her adult silhouette. She mouths a line the child could not say. I kept the music anyway. Texts vibrate later. One is Daniel's, restrained as always. "Happy birthday. I respect the door you have built for yourself." Riley thumbs back. "The Kurks?" Door stays open, screen intact. She pockets the phone, breathes in Denver night, and thinks. The leash snapped, the song plays, and the road keeps stretching, under her own feet. The kitchen light flickers. My final $20 stare back from the screen. $20 between me and silence. Outside, rain flicks the window like thrown gravel. The door hinges groan. Mom steps inside. Her shadow trembles along the wall. She lifts Daniel's old lockbox. Rust grinds like a warning. My pulse hammers in my throat. Behind that clasp hides either mercy or another chain. I do not breathe. The night feels suddenly liquid. Flash. Age 7. Daniel counts bills aloud in the station wagon. His fingers snap each note with crisp judgment. Pine freshener chokes the air. I trace raindrops racing down glass. One question forms. Whose life are pennies buying? Present. Lauren's laugh carries from the next room. Candle wax pools. The lockbox clicks. Inside rests Mom's trembling gift. Not cash, not control. Just a tiny house key and a single faded photograph. Me at 7, clutching a toy piano in red mittens. The same mittens Brittany knitted last winter. The circle tightens. Brittany steps through the door, solo. She untwists her knit scarf. "Daniel wanted to come," she says. "I told him that choice is yours." Silence stretches, full of Denver winter scent, cold concrete, chimney smoke, leaf rustle. Then laughter bubbles. Sisters tasting new trust like fresh water. I slip the key on a string beside my heart. Jackie lifts a jam jar. "To Riley Morgan," she says, "who proved independence is not a place on a map, but a vow to your own heart." Every guest raises something. Mugs, soda cans, a paint-streaked thermos. The clink is gentle, no demands, just witness. Daniel's later text rests simple. "I respect the door you built." I thumb back. Door stays open, screen intact. Snow begins. Each flake catching the porch light like tiny white flags of surrender. I mouth to the 7-year-old ghost in the window. I kept the music anyway. The leash snapped. The road keeps stretching under my own feet. The kitchen light flickers. My final $20 stare back from the screen. $20 between me and silence. Outside, rain flicks the window like thrown gravel. The door hinges groan. Mom steps inside. "Riley!" Her voice is a whisper of lilacs crushed underfoot. Her shadow trembles along the wall. She lifts Daniel's old lockbox. Rust grinds like a warning. My pulse hammers in my throat. Behind that clasp hides either mercy or another chain. I do not breathe. Flash. Age 7. Daniel counts bills aloud in the station wagon. His fingers snap each note with crisp judgment. Pine freshener chokes the air. I trace raindrops racing down glass. Whose life are pennies buying? Present. Lauren's laugh carries from the next room. Candle wax pools. The lockbox clicks. Inside rests Mom's trembling gift. Not cash, not control. Just a tiny house key and a single faded photograph. Me at 7, clutching a toy piano in red mittens. The same mittens Brittany.